The following presentation is part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network.
From the farthest reaches of the galaxy, the Midwest, you're watching Beyond the Blast Doors live.
We are live on a Wednesday. Beyond the Blast Doors live, episode 104. Could Lucasfilm Games make Star Wars gaming great again? It's quite possible. Hey, welcome in. We're live. It's on a Wednesday. We're having a great time. I'm David. If this is your first time checking out Beyond the Blast Doors live, welcome to our Star Wars conversation. If you're back for more, well, welcome back, damn it. We're here to have a good time. For the next hour, we're talking the latest and greatest in Star Wars news, movies, TVs, collectibles, all of it. We're talking about all of it. And it's not just myself. No, if it was just myself, honestly, if it was just myself, you would have stopped listening 20 episodes ago. So that's why I have people like Arezou, with me. Arezou, how you doing, friend?
I'm doing good. How are you?
You know what? I feel refreshed. I feel rejuvenated. You know, I got my water. It's water.
It's important.
You know,
Stay hydrated.
It's not the Friday night call-in show, so it's not whiskey. I'm trying to make good life health decisions. I started working out. I got like a workout app now. So like they give me 50-minute workouts, and I do. And I was like lifting 20-pound weights, and this guy was lifting 55-pound weights, and they judged me harshly for it. But I think it's the effort that counts when you go to a public gym. Somewhere. You know, you got to start somewhere. You know, some are stronger than others. I'll get there. It's not just the two of us. And Arezou, it really is good to see you. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, at some point, but it was Inauguration Day. Someone who's really happy about America having a new president. I shouldn't say better. I shouldn't put my political views in this show, but we got Scotty. Scotty, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about today's news?
You know, honestly, it's one of these things where, like, I think it's nice to have a refresher. And, you know, it's just, I feel like some things are going to be handled more with grace now, as it should have been, you know, always and forever. So I'm just happy to be here with y'all. And I think everyone has a different perspective, you know, now after 4 years of an interesting experience. But needless to say, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad Arezou's here. You know, it is just a great Wednesday. And, you know, 5 live shows a week now? What? That's a new thing. No one's talked about that yet. David, plug that for us. Tell us about that.
Beyond the Blast Doors YouTube channel now has 5 live Star Wars shows every night of the work week, of the traditional work week. We got Monday Holo Chronicles, Tuesdays Around the Galaxy. We are here on Wednesdays. Bombad Cast is Thursdays, and then we wrap it all up with our network call-in show on Fridays. And we're really proud of this. We're really excited about it. When you ask, what do we do here at Beyond the Blast Doors? Well, we tell you what our Star Wars conversation contains, but we go live, and we go live a lot, and we have these live conversations with you. And so that way we can have this conversation. And already we have more than 75 comments in the live chat, which is just ridiculous. So big shout out to everyone who's with us tonight, making us part of your Wednesday. This is a lot of fun. We have an exciting show. We're talking about the Lucasfilm Games. We're going to be talking about what that means for Star Wars gaming. We think it's really great. We are going to talk this week in comics with Marie coming up in about 15 minutes. We're going to have also a look at some rumor mill stuff. Apparently Ahsoka, that live action series that Dave Filoni is currently writing. We know like a little bit more about it, not like a whole lot, but like enough to talk about it and enough to wait till the very end of the show to get there. So between now and then, we've got a lot of goodies. But real quick, can I show off a mail call real quick?
Please.
Yeah.
Can I show off a mail call?
By all means.
Do it.
Now, if you've been following the Twitter account at BTBD Star Wars for the last 20 days, you know that my New Year's resolution is #bring Cad Bane back. Okay. And this is an elusive prize that I have finally been able to get my hands on. I ordered the original release of this figure, and Amazon said I had purchased it, never arrived. And then I just got my money back. So then I rebought it. And I have
look at it.
Cad Bane, baby. I've got Cad Bane. I'm really proud of this because he is one of my favorite Star Wars characters. And of course, it's that new box. So if you can check that out. That mural. So let's say you don't collect, and this is your first time. You're like, why the hell is he showing up this box? So when you buy the Waves of Black series 6-inch figures now, the spines form a mural. They're really cool. And I like this wave a lot. This is my first one. If you watch Around the Galaxy Tuesday nights with Pete Fletzer, always has the who's who in the Star Wars world. He has the Rebels wave. It's purple and it's sexy, and I want them. And when I have $150 to blow on figures, that's what I'm gonna do. But no, I'm super happy about this. So I guess I made this about me, and I wanted to show that off. If you're listening to the podcast version, you have to be miserable right now, and I'm sorry. But if you're watching on YouTube, you're very stimulated. This is like Star Wars collection porn. This is good stuff. This is
beautiful.
Good stuff.
Do you like Cad Bane, David? Has that been a fan, favorite for a while for you? I don't even know this.
I thought that Star Wars Clone Wars was such a huge gamble when it first came out. I was in high school, so I just was like, Star Wars is only live action. It's only the movies. I didn't really read the books. I didn't really read the comics. And so when they started doing this Cad Bane stuff, I was like blown away. I loved his voice. I liked the way he moved. He was everything that like Han Solo wasn't necessarily. Like he is a gunslinger, but he's not like ruthless like Cad Bane. And then you get further in the series, this guy broke into the Jedi Temple, stole the holocron. Like that is like, as far as like levels of badassery, that is at the highest reach. So yeah, hashtag bring Cad Bane back. Throw that in the live chat right now if you support that effort. If you really support that effort, go ahead and share this live stream right now on your social media and just put that hashtag on there. Bring Cad Bane back. That's what we want to do. I personally think that he would be great in the Book of Boba Fett. I think he would make a lot of sense there. And Arezou's heard this rant, I think, twice on the show, like 5 times, and she is so tolerant. There's some people who will like want to tell you about like Ecclesiastes from the Bible, and I just want to tell you about Cad Bane from Star Wars. So I feel like one is more tolerable than the other, and I'm not bashing Bible people. I just like I just do a lot better with the picture Bible than the Bible with a bunch of words in it. So all right, so that's not what we're here to talk about this week. You've indulged me, and I enjoy it.
Well, Scotty and I have stuff that we talk about all the time too.
Oh yeah,
so we're all like,
what's your vice?
Like this.
What's your vice, Arezou? Because you're like, you're an Obi-Wan Kenobi lover, right? I mean, that's like your big thing, right?
I love my boy Obi-Wan. I love my boy Ben Solo.
What are you gonna do when you see Kenobi premiere in a couple years? Okay, I'm doing my I'm impersonating the girl from Schitt's Creek. When you get Kenobi in the sands and his clothes are all tattered and maybe falling off his torso, like how are you gonna handle yourself?
Well, I'm gonna be concerned about the sunburn, but
there's no skin cancer in Star Wars.
Okay, but there's also no aloe vera on Tatooine, so I'm gonna be worried for my boy.
Oh my god, dude, the wrinkles. Yeah. Well, remember we had to.
No wonder he ages so quickly if he's just recklessly standing in the sun. So I think we cracked it, David.
Good point.
I'm so worried about my aging wrinkles on my eyes, and now I just thought about Kenobi, and he's gonna look.
Just don't go stand in direct double sunlight for 19 years. I think you'll be fine.
Oh man, who's gonna have worse face wrinkles in Kenobi though? Is it gonna be Obi-Wan or is it gonna be Qui-Gon's Force Ghost?
Which is gonna show up, by the way.
I mean, he should.
100%.
The man does not age.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make it. Good.
No. If anyone who saw the interview on James Corden, he was like, I thought Star Wars was faded away. I'm like, shut up. You were in The Rise of Skywalker. You had a line. Like, come on. Don't even act like, don't play everyone for a fool. You're not already signed on to do that show. It drove me crazy.
I like how he has the Qui-Gon Jinn hilt mounted to a plank of wood, like one of those like singing bass from the 1990s, Yes. I was like, what is this?
Scotty, he's playing dumb like Ewan McGregor used to do. He's like, I don't know. They've mentioned Kenobi. Meanwhile, like the ink has been dry on the contract for so long.
Exactly.
And he's like, I have no idea.
Oh, it made me laugh. It just was such a like Star Wars. Oh, I thought it faded away. I'm like, what are you talking about? Don't be like that. Oh man.
Hey, before we dive into this first topic, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button, engage the bell. We ask you every episode because we just want you to be the first to know when we go live or when we drop new content. Big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Pete, Andy here with the network. We also have Jerry in the live chat as well. So big thanks to our BTBD fam for hanging out with us in the live chat. But we got Anubis, so we got JD, we got Luke from Hoth Off Podcast. Luke, great to see you. You guys just had a really great show. Listened to the other day. I thought it was really spectacular, very crowded, including like Star Wars Theory and some other people, I believe. And really nice job there. So cool to have you guys in the live chat. We got Nick Melky, got Apprentice Ewok, Matthew. David likes the paint by number Bible. I don't know what that means. I know I made a Bible reference in that show, so it's not like I have Alzheimer's or anything. We got all remaining systems. We got Galanori and Xavier. I just had this observation about cats. I'm going to share this with you real quick. So a cat is like that. This is going to sound so bad, but it's so true. A cat is like your family member with dementia, right? Like every day you got to start over. You know, I got friends who have dogs, and so the dog bit someone, and the owner was like, "No, don't do that again." The dog's not bit anybody ever since that. But with the cat, like every day I have to teach my cat, don't scratch at the couch, don't pull on my wife's hair, don't stare at me when I'm getting a shower. Like these are the things that I have to revisit every day with the cat. It's very frustrating, and I don't know if anyone can empathize with me on that, but that's my situation right now. Okay, cool. So the point is, we have a lot of great people in the live chat. Galanori and Saber. Holy cow, this list is going on and on. This is really impressive. Big thanks to everybody. Do yourselves a favor, or do us a favor, I should say. It's not doing yourself a favor. Maybe it is. Share us on social media. Let's get underway with this, though, because we're just having a good old time. And because, you know what? We could talk. There were a lot of bad things happening in our world, but today it's a bright light. And tonight, we can talk about Star Wars. Our first topic here on the show. God, that transition. I had to take a second. I had to gather myself, Scotty. I don't know if you could hear that. I had to gather myself.
No, collect it.
I had to gather myself. Lucasfilm Games, allowing for a new era of Star Wars games. We're going to get to it. Yeah, we know that there's some games in development already, but listen, this is a new era of Star Wars gaming. This is now the official identity for all gaming titles from Lucasfilm, and it's a name that encompasses the, what the website describes as the company's rich catalog of video games and its eyes towards the future. Lucasfilm Games and Ubisoft already have announced collaborating on a story-driven open world experience. This is a genre that I know that I've been asked, all my friends have wanted a game just like this. And now it's going to come to life thanks to Massive Entertainment. And this is Ubisoft's studio out of Sweden. We know that David Polfelt and Julian Garrity, two big names in gaming, have already invested a year in developing this game. So a lot of excitement right now about this. And so, my first question to everybody, and Scotty, if it's okay, actually, you know what, Scotty, I'm going to make you wait. Arezou, you're going to go first here. As someone who is not the biggest fan of gaming, but I think that you can appreciate anyone's joy in this.
Yeah.
Is this news that you really took notice of? Did you notice that maybe you had friends that were really excited about this? What's your pulse on this?
Well, my Twitter blew up when they announced it, because most of the people are into gaming, and I have played the more recent ones like Squadrons, Jedi Fallen Order, Battlefront 2. So the newest sort of, I guess, story-driven titles I'm familiar with, and I've played them. But this is wasn't the biggest announcement of the year for me. So, but I'm excited for everybody else, and I'm excited. I'm excited for me too, because if the stories are as good as they have been, then why not?
I agree.
Well, and there could be comics and books that come off from this game. I mean, who knows? I mean, when you're talking about an open world gaming experience, there really are no limitations. I will tell you that in my fantasy world, I had always dreamt for an Old Republic. I am that fan. I always want Old Republic stories. I think it's a great era of the Star Wars story that we don't have really explored in the new canon. But I'm excited about this. Same kind of thing, Arezou. My feed blew up from people who are way more invested in gaming than I am, and there just seems to be a lot more excitement. And I will say this, Scotty, it's not LucasArts, it's Lucasfilm Games. How do you feel about the rebranding of this? I feel like you're way more invested in this. Does it bother you that it's not LucasArts just reopened its doors?
I just love the old logo with the arms up, and I like the golden guy with the arms up. I would love to have seen that show back up in a weird way. Not so much am I upset that they didn't go back with LucasArts. Lucasfilm Games is it's an interesting phrase because, it's not like Star Wars games or anything. And I think the biggest announcement that we can all admit that no one was expecting was an Indiana Jones video game. That, honest to God, that was probably the most exciting thing we had gotten, And I mean, to me, honestly, Star Wars has always been about going different genres in terms of you could do an RPG Star Wars game. You can do a racing Star Wars game. You can even do some sort of mystery Star Wars. I really don't know if they continue to go down the, making really solid games and making really unique games, I think they're gonna be really good in terms of making a successful, maybe a new franchise of some sort. So
I think that's the hope. I'm worried about consistency though, because EA, like you just mentioned, and Arezou mentioned, the recent games that she's been playing, they're all the recent EA titles. I felt like they were finally getting their act together.
Yes.
Games more consistently being released. The quality of those games were exceptional. There was story to these games, which was obviously an issue with the first Battlefront that was released. I believe it was 2015. And so it just felt like we were on the right path. And so while I am excited that we're allowing other developers to come in and play in this world, I am curious about the level of consistency. And I'll be the first to admit, some of those LucasArts games, exceptional. And some of them weren't exceptional, but it was the amount of entertainment we were getting per year. You were getting at times 3, 4, 5 games a year. I mean, it was redonkulous. The number and the number of games we were getting, the number of experiences you could share in a year and a half's time was awesome. So I guess that's where I'm at. I would like to find out, Scotty, real quick, if you had a guess, if this is open world, do you feel like this game is going to take place in a specific era, a specific generation of the Star Wars galaxy or the Skywalker saga? Or do you think that this is going to be kind of like a broader World of Warcraft where you're just going to pop in as a character and you're going to be able to follow all these different paths? I mean, maybe we don't know, but what would you prefer?
See, of course, you would know what I would prefer. But honestly, here we are,
9,000 missions where you're just a Gungan.
You're just on Naboo.
Waddling through the slumps of Naboo. Occasionally you see a human. They go away. We don't like their kind here.
Nope. Honestly, David, I think it's really important to address this because I haven't seen this discussed at all. What era will this take place in? And from Battlefront 1's released and now Rogue Squadrons, they're really sticking to the OT. Fallen Order kind of went a little prequel trilogy, a little bit, not so much, just the little flashback moments. But I would love something that's cross, generational in terms of maybe you deal with things. Maybe you're in the OT era, but you can visit prequel trilogy planets, Naboo, Coruscant. I mean, I don't know. I think it's important to have this feel, as connected as possible. And didn't they say it was story-based open world, or is it just open world, like MMO style? I don't remember.
I believe there is a story attached. We don't know too many details about this.
So like
I would
GTA.
I'd like to throw this to you, Arezou, though. What do you think about, just for the same reason why we like The Mandalorian on Disney Plus so much, the story that's kind of happening outside of the main Skywalker saga? What if this open world experience was you're following a story outside of the main story? So as you play through, events that we're familiar with of the Skywalker saga are happening elsewhere. Maybe the HoloNet pops up and lets us know, the first Death Star has been destroyed, or maybe the galaxy is now in war. The war from the Clone Wars are announced. What if that was kind of the experience we were?
I think what I would like is if it's like Mando, where it sort of takes place beside the story. Maybe we could even start in early Clone Wars. We could start around then, and then sort of go forward in time, almost up until the end of the OT or something. Because the OT is such a comfort zone. I want to move us away from that a little bit.
Oh, of course.
Like Scotty, I'm a big prequel fan. So if we did that, but I don't want it to intersect with the main storyline at all. Like The Mandalorian season 1 didn't really, but now they're starting to intersect with the TV shows and things like that, and it's becoming a part of that bigger story. So if this game stays totally removed from that, then that would be cool, because then you've got that sort of canon inconsistency, I guess. If my choices are impacting the OT in a certain way in the game, and then Scotty's choices impact it differently. This is me with my stories being consistent thing. It isn't consistent anymore if you keep bumping into the story and everybody does it differently.
That's true.
So if you keep that totally detached, so you've got a thing popping up with Palpatine giving the attempt on my life has left me scarred, but you never actually bump into any of the main characters. I would like to see that.
Yes. I can roll with that for sure. And I just want to clarify, I went back to the original release. There was not the original report did not include a story attached to this open world game. However, there is speculation that there will be a story that will follow. And honestly, if you play any kind of open world game, there is a story that you follow. It's broad. You can still have a fun experience outside of that main thread. So there is that. I wanted to circle back around there and do that. Live chat's having an absolute blast with this. So great to see so many people having a great time. Mark is now in the live chat with this. That's really exciting. Let's see. We got Luke saying Knights of the Old Republic for the win. That would be a lot of fun. I mean, again, I've been saying Old Republic for a while, so that would be a great thing, a great time period to explore. Andy, he says, I thought you liked a little hair pulling, David. Occasionally, just on Thursdays, but it's Wednesday, and that's why we're doing this show. Apprentice Ewok, Jesus, when did David slowly morph into Jerry? Get him a beanie and a beard. What are you guys talking about? I'm clean shaven. I have my makeup on from work still. So I got high definition makeup on right now. We are streaming in 1080p. I do a little base, a little powder, a little anti-shine because the forehead, it's a receding hairline. Okay. It happens when you're in your late 20s and it starts to go away. And so I got some anti-shine right up in there. I glisten sometimes, and that's why I have to also get the anti-perspirant. Okay, cool. So that's enough about me. Dude, Jackson is in the live chat. He's awesome. He's so funny.
There we go.
Got a great YouTube channel too, so check them out for sure. All right. So what do you think about, I should have done this before, but what do you think about the news that Lucasfilm Games is a new era of Star Wars gaming and that it opens up Star Wars to all these new developers to try and get contracts? And there's this open world game. There's a lot to digest here. What do you think about it? Let us know in the live chat, or you can tweet us at BTBD Star Wars. And as always, you can comment down below. Would love to continue that Star Wars conversation there. Just having a great time. How we feel about pacing? I think we're doing pretty good. I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I feel good. I feel so good. Honest to God, guys, I feel so good that I want to bring in a friend. I want to bring in Marie Wilson
There
of
she is.
BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. Everybody, Marie Wilson.
Hey, Marie.
We have kind of a slow week in the comic world, but it's a big title. It's Dr. Aphra. And so under the graphic, I think that Scotty and Arezou, you wanted a sideline, right? Like you or do you want to stick around?
Force pushes out of here.
Force, okay. So we're gonna put you in the sidebar here real quick. It's okay. We love you. We'll bring him back. Scotty and Arezou aren't going anywhere. Arezou's gonna read like a book, and Scotty's gonna just like drool because he still hasn't finished the book, so it's fine. But my goodness, here we are together beyond the panel. Marie, so good to be with you. Like I said, Aphra, Dr. 7. Let's try that again. Dr. Aphra, number 7. And you know what? It's interesting. It feels like we're getting stories now connecting to the High Republic era, which if you don't know what that is at home, that is the multi-platform storytelling experience that Star Wars announced last year in Chicago at Star Wars Celebration. It kicked off just a couple of weeks ago. And there is a reference in this issue. I don't want to get into that because I don't want to spoil that for anyone. But Marie, can you just talk to me about, is that a challenge for you reading? You have your finger on what's happening with High Republic, but can that sometimes overwhelm you as a reader? The fact that now you're having, the Dr. Aphra line starting to touch upon these, this different era completely.
Well, the one thing is, and I won't spoil anything, but there's this artifact thereafter, but I don't understand how this artifact would work in the modern era of Star Wars. Well, the original trilogy era, when 200 years before it only worked because of a very specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. I don't know how they're going to fix that, but I know they will. I know they'll make it work.
I think that Alyssa Wong is an exceptional writer, and I really do enjoy her in this series. We've talked about this. I get hot and cold sometimes with the character, which is just fine. Plenty of people like her far more than I do. It's the reason why Dr. Aphra title sells so well. If there is one thing from this comic book this issue that you really enjoyed, Marie, what is that one reason that I should go out and buy this comic if I haven't already?
Connections.
Love the canon connection.
So many canon connections in this issue. Oh my God. I rated this issue a 9.5 out of 10
Oh,
because
you
I
mean you
did.
rated it on 9 out of 10 on BeyondTheBlastDoors.com in your spoiler-heavy review of
I
Dr. Aphra number
did.
7?
A 9.5 out of 10. I loved it because we get Lady Proxima. What?
Oh, do you
Like,
mean the baddie from Solo?
yes. And we get a connection to the Bounty Hunter series with Vukora. And we get Sana Staros back in the fold. And then this cool spider dude who's not a connection to anything, but he's super awesome looking. And he's not a Hark. He's not Admiral Trench's species, so I don't know what he is. But there was just so much amazing goodness in this issue, but the connections were fantastic and it didn't feel forced at all. Like Lady Proxima shows up and you're just like, oh, yeah, of course, that makes sense.
I think that any connection to that Sola era is so great. Obviously, there's such a demand to hashtag make Solo 2 happen, as the good people over at the Resistance broadcast always promote. I really like the Proxima character, and I really did like her introduction in that movie. I really enjoyed the first 15 minutes of Solo a lot. I really liked Corellia and how that was all designed and how that felt very, very dirty. And I think having another adventure with Proxima is great. She does appear in a couple of Star Wars Adventure comics, I believe. I think Kevin Scott did those a year before last. And so, but this is I don't want to say an adult comic, but this is like a higher reading level. This is like the nitty gritty. It's like the main reading line of the Star Wars comics, and so it's fun to have her in there. And like you mentioned, Staros is in this one as well, and she's back, and a love interest of Solo from years gone by as well. And so it's kind of interesting how you're seeing these different parts of Han's life cross connecting now, even when Han's not around, which maybe some could argue makes the galaxy feel too small, but I don't think that's the case. I feel like Aphra in general, her line really does broaden the Star Wars galaxy, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Sana, like, I have so many questions about what's going to happen with that, because Sana is Aphra's ex-girlfriend. So are they going to start back up some kind of relationship, or are they going to continue to hate each other and just barely deal with being together and working together, or will they become friends? I don't know, but there's so many different ways that could go, and I'm super excited about that.
Can you become friends with your ex? Does that really work out?
I have three of my exes are actually still really good friends that I talk to.
It can be done.
Like,
it can be done right here on Beyond the Black Doors Live. We've confirmed you can still be friends with your ex. I guess that's how you move. I don't know.
It's very possible.
I don't know. Now, I do want to correct myself real quick though, Marie. Sana Star Wars pretended to be Han's wife.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the storyline?
Yeah, so for a long con, they pretended to be married, but they weren't actually. Now in the book, oh gosh, by Daniel Jose Older, Last Shot. In Last Shot, Han makes moves on Sana a lot and tries to get her to see him in that way, but she never reciprocates.
Oh, that's the worst. I maybe I'm speaking from too much personal experience here, but no, seriously, like it's such. This is a fun read. Marie, you always do such a good job coming in and selling it. And we're not like obviously trying to sell for a specific comic book shop, but we definitely promote here to go and support your local comic book shop, buy off the shelf. I understand if you like to read it on your iPad, but go into the store. I know that we're in a pandemic, but support that local business. They are a lifeline of our community. We really need to help them out the best that we can. Marie, real quick before we let you go, what are we looking out for next week in our comic book shelves?
Next week is the next issue of Bounty Hunters,
which is a so-so comic series. We're not over the top about this one, are we?
It's intriguing.
That's really nice. Yeah, we don't like to put down anything, but yeah, it's just, but you know what? Maybe next week it's really special.
Maybe
And
it'll blow my socks off, especially since there was a connection to it in the Afra issue this week. Because
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Vakora, the
Yep.
Unbroken Clan leader, showed up. So maybe I was saying maybe Afra will show up in the Bounty Hunter series. You never know.
That would make it a heck of a lot better. We'll find out together next week. Marie, thank you so much for your time. It's always fun to go beyond the panel with you. Marie Wilson, everybody, give her some love in the live chat. She is a wonderful human being. Marie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
She's the best. Marie Wilson with Beyond the Blast Doors. And if you haven't already, be sure you check out her review. That is on beyondtheblastdoors.com right now. And we're going to keep it up with the canon in print, not in comics though. We're going to jump now to the books, and we got a little bit of a book review here because we've got who do we got? I guess we have Arezou, I guess, talking about this. I guess this was her idea to talk about this on the show tonight. I don't know.
I'm the book queen. You know.
You are the book queen. And then, Scotty and I are like delicately ask questions because the three of us are at different spots of the High Republic experience. Arezou is the furthest along. Yeah. So, Arezou, the floor is yours. Take us to a test of courage. This is a test of courage right here.
It's the middle grade entry in the High Republic. So it's by Justina Ireland, and it's fantastic. So it's loose spoilers for the High Republic, but I feel like everybody's heard this part. There's this great disaster that happens in the galaxy, and this disaster affects this ship that's got a delegation heading to the dedication of the Starlight Beacon, which is this like space station that the Republic and the Jedi are sort of overseeing in the Outer Rim. So disaster strikes, and the only survivors are 4 kids who are on this ship. So we have a very young Jedi Knight who's only 16. We have a 14-year-old Padawan, a 12-year-old ambassador's son, and an 11-year-old senator's daughter. And the 4 of them get stuck on this barely functioning shuttle and wind up on a very hostile moon in the middle of nowhere, sort of out of the way that no ships would ever pass by. So they're all kind of stranded there. And they're all dealing with a lot of conflicting, complicated emotions. They're sort of dealing with grief and with stress and with trying to get each other through all this. So that's a test of courage. It's by far the most character focused of all of the middle grade books. So it read a bit older. It read almost like YA, and I highly recommend it.
Well, and that was going to be my first question, Arezou, is because as I guess with my experience reading Star Wars books, I know that those adult books can still be really great adventures. And so you would say that you feel like this is just on par with a Light of the Jedi, or what Claudia Gray puts out. You think it's definitely worth our time to dive into this story.
It's absolutely worth your time. There's sort of the general tendency seems to be that middle grade is the adventure, and the YA stuff is coming of age and coming to terms with yourself, and then the adult stuff is sort of lore, world building with a bit of those other two added. It's a combination of the 3, but this is so very worth your time because it really sets the tone with the High Republic, along with Light of the Jedi. Light of the Jedi is sort of trying to be everything because it's the first main entry, so it's sort of trying to really explain the world to you. But this is not trying to explain the world. It's just this is the world, and these are the 4 kids living in it, and you sort of see the world through their eyes. So yeah.
Very cool, very cool. Because I have the Guardian of the Wills book that dropped around Rogue One, and I really enjoyed that. And I know it's not an adult novel, but there's some really fun tidbits in there, and you can really explore. And especially with that movie, I mean, the Guardian of the Wills, a lot of people want to dive into that. So that was really great and complimented it well. Scotty, I don't think you're reading this book. You are reading Light of the Jedi. How are you enjoying that so far by Charles Soule?
So, Light of the Jedi, I mean, it's really interesting in terms of what it does with the Force, and it kind of aligns with George Lucas's points of view, which is really kind of nice. You would think they would have deviated from some of the things that he established a long time ago, but they really stuck to it. And giving Charles Soule that first book, when I heard it was him, I was like, that's going to be interesting because I know he does primarily comic stuff. But the fact that they gave him that first book really set the standard. And I'm only halfway through it. We just got introduced to our big baddie, essentially. And the way it's done is really clever. The whole thing. I mean, like, there's some Force abilities. I'm like, that is truly unique to Star Wars and unique to this book so far that I would love to see in live action. I don't want to give anything away, but Avar Chris, love her Force ability. Ooh.
You can tell that Charles Soule is primarily a comic guy just by that first like 100 pages, like because it's so fast and you jump around to so many people. It almost felt like they put a comic book in prose.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
And there is someone on Twitter that actually did a character map. I don't have it on me to pull it up, but like, you know, that is something that I'm going to need when I start cracking open the book, because I've only read the first 5 or 6 chapters because they released them early. They released them in advance to kind of build up excitement. But I'm going to need that character map for sure, because just like Arezou mentioned, there are so many names that you get thrown in a very short amount of time that I have a really hard time keeping them straight. And I think that is one of the reasons why I've always have enjoyed a Star Wars on this screen. And like, I could follow Clone Wars, and I have all those characters like a Rolodex in my head, I think, because I visually see them. So I'm hoping that, I know we have this High Republic comic series that's out there right now, but I'm really hoping that if we don't get like a comic book adaptation of Light of the Jedi, for example, or Test of Courage, I'm hoping that there is some kind of other High Republic line that comes out to help us get familiar visually. And again, you know, who knows how this is going to go? We talk about this all the time, that, you know, the Acolyte is going to take place towards the end of the High Republic era. Who knows? We could get something down the road that would bring these characters to life on screen, whether that's live action or animation. But I'm so happy to see so many people invested. I will tell you, I mean, you got the comics, for example, are on their 4th reprint. The 3rd reprint just sold out. You know, you're going to get the 4th. There is a frenzy for this Star Wars storytelling that I honestly didn't anticipate. I thought the diehard fandom would really buy into this. You know, we're going to read it and we're going to tell, you know, the folks who tune in our show about it. But I'm amazed at how many casual Star Wars fans in my life are making the commitment to invest in the books and the comics. It's a really exciting time to be a Star Wars fan. I mean, are you having these same kind of conversations with your friends outside of our podcast group?
No.
Oh,
Anybody who's a casual fan is not, in my life, is not reading the High Republic.
I've been convincing people. That's my job. I feel like I'm a Mormon. I've just been like, hey, you really need to read this. It's really good for you. No, but like, I think this book is going to do something. I think it's going to be one of those scenarios where this goes so far, you know, and people are like, man, I wish I would have got caught up on it. And it's going to be like a year from now when that moment happens. Because I think they're going to keep dropping balls, because they, so far in this book, I mean, I'm only halfway through, they dropped some pretty awesome canon tidbits. Like this morning, listening to it on the way to work, I'm like, oh, what? Like, I didn't expect to hear that. I didn't expect to hear that last name in there. I was like, no.
Just you wait. Oh my
God.
I can't wait to talk about this.
I don't know why, but when Arezou said "Just You Wait," I thought of "You'll Be Back" from Hamilton, and then I started singing that song in my head. I was like, "You'll be back soon, you'll see. You'll remember you belong to me." All right.
Oh, it's good.
No, but seriously, and I also do want to make this point too. You're listening to us babble on about the High Republic stuff. First, Arezou, great breakdown. I don't think you gave anything away. You have me hyped for that book. I was just going to wait for your review, honestly, because I made a judgment on that book because of the degree it is on the tier of books. I'm going to buy that. I know Justina Island's work. I'm going to buy that book. Also, I think, Scotty, you did a good job, because I think you were about to spill the beans on something big and you bit your tongue. So good job there.
You
do not, I think, have to read any of the High Republic stuff to be like, I don't think it's mandatory. I don't think you should be worried that you're going to be lost as a Star Wars fan if you don't participate in the High Republic. I definitely feel like this is like the video games. It's like the comics. It's an extension of what we already know, but this is a sandbox that the storytelling group and the authors are going to be playing in for the foreseeable future, you know, the next, 3 to 5 years at least. Right. So dive in there. If you've got, $25, $40, pick yourself up 2 or 3 books and, dive in. Go ahead.
I did say that Light of the Jedi does the big era setup, but you don't need to read that to read A Test of Courage. Anything you need to know, they will tell you.
So that's awesome.
Like there's the great disaster. You don't see it happen, but one of the adults just kind of explains it to somebody else, like over dinner, and then you're caught up. Then you're fine, and you can just
My buddy,
just go from there. So
I totally agree. My buddy just chimed in. Nick says, when aren't you singing Hamilton? I sing it at work too a lot. It's a pretty bad idea. I think that Marie just got requested to be on Bombat Gaslight Jerry in the live chat. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson says, hey, someone knocked on my door today and left a pamphlet with a picture of Obi-Wan on it.
was it me? It might have been me.
That would have been
Arezou, yes.
This is great. The live chat is just having a lot of fun. Apprentice Ewok, I'm going to click on this. I don't know what you're talking. The LOTG is my top 3.
Light of the Jedi.
Oh, Light of the Jedi. Yeah, duh. Sorry. We were just talking about that for 10 minutes.
I thought it was Lord of the Jings.
Well, I was thinking something
Lord
about
of the Jedi.
Master and Apprentice and Lost Stars is damn good company. And I think what you're seeing there too is you're seeing 2 Claudia Gray novels and having Charles Soule in there, which and to the point that's already been made, Charles Soule got his feet wet in Star Wars with Star Wars comics, and I was kind of surprised that he was beloved. I mean, like everything he does, fans like the Poe series, the Vader series, still a little iffy on the Knights of Ren, but it is what it is. I thought Claudia Gray was gonna be the one that was gonna kick this thing off, and learning that she's kind of being saved for like the phase 2 of High Republic. I'm very intrigued to see what she does. But yeah, I mean, Apprentice Ewok, that's a great top 3, I think. I haven't finished Light of the Jedi, but I think our tastes are pretty similar. So good job there. I think everyone's having a good time in the live chat. Pretty excited to see everyone kind of weighing in on this conversation when it comes to the High Republic. We got one more topic, and then we're gonna hit fan questions here on this Wednesday night, and it's our favorite Targruda. Isn't that our species, right?
Togruta, yeah.
Togruta. I was like 90. Actually, I was like 37% confident in myself.
You were 90% of the way there. So
thank you. I tried really hard. Hey, so what are we actually supposed to be talking about? And me not just vamping, because there's no need to vamp. This show is scripted in a way. Okay, so here, this is what we're talking about. The fact that Ahsoka live action, this series now seems to be actually the result of Jon Favreau convincing Dave Filoni to continue Ahsoka's story in live action. So according to our friends over at Kessel Run Transmissions, it's understood that this is going to be like what's next after Star Wars Rebels. That seems to really open up the door for Sabine Wren to show up. But it's also understood that Dave Filoni intends to return to animation to tell Ahsoka's story even further. And so this is where my mind goes. And tell me if I'm wrong. And we'll dive into the actual rumor here. And when I do rumor, listen, Kessel Runs, they don't drop and they don't discuss something without having a good reason to bring it up. So I feel comfortable addressing this. But is Ahsoka's story best served in animation? And I guess I'm thinking about like ending her story in animation. Or do you think that we can continue to do justice for Ahsoka in the live action landscape? Arezou, let's start with you.
Okay, so my thing with Ahsoka is I think it made sense to have her in that episode of Mando, but for her story, for like the finding Ezra, finding Thrawn, being with Sabine, I think if you bring that entirely into live action, you now have to go back and recap who Ezra is and who Thrawn is and who Sabine is to people who probably didn't watch Rebels. Because like how many of us after that episode had our friends who are Star Wars fans, but casual ones being like, wait, so who is this person and who is Thrawn and what is she talking about and what's going on? And that had no bearing on the rest of the Mandalorian, but they didn't know what was going on. So now you have, if you bring that entire story into live action, now you have to recap that because that's now the focus. So I think that's like time wasted when we could be telling a different story. So I think that's why I wanted the sequel series to Rebels, like Ahsoka and Sabine finding Ezra and Thrawn, to be in animation, because if you watched Rebels already, you jump right in. And if you see that coming out in animation and you're interested in seeing the rest of that after The Mandalorian, then you'll go back and watch Rebels and maybe even Clone Wars. Like my best friend is doing that right now. Like we're watching the whole thing together and we're halfway through Rebels now because of interest peaked from Ahsoka's appearance in The Mandalorian. So I think all this to say, I think her story is better served in animation than in live action.
I think you and I are on the same page. You were talking about rewatching Clone Wars, and I almost brought Cad Bane back on the screen. But then you said Rebels, and I was like, damn it. I have nothing that's Rebels.
Where's my Rebels?
That's why I looked like so I had this experience too. I'll tell you this real quick. I was in the bathroom at work, and I took a phone call. A friend of mine called, and so I answered the phone, and then someone else walked in the bathroom, and I didn't know what to do, so I stayed on the phone. And I feel like I made this other individual very uncomfortable, and I feel like I did the same thing. I was like, do I stay on the phone or do I get off the phone? And I just stayed on the phone. It was a strange. I'm thinking out loud now. All right, so let's get back to actual Star Wars because I feel like that's what the people care about.
I thought you were going to say you were on the phone explaining who Ahsoka was.
Me too. That's what I thought you would say.
Can you imagine if I'm like,
this was going?
I don't want you to imagine this, but like a dude's at the urinal being like, okay, so Ahsoka Tano, right? Like her nickname was Snips, and now she's like this like gray Jedi, but not a gray Jedi because like there's no such thing as gray Jedi, but she wears gray robes. Yeah, white lightsabers. Yeah, the hot one. Yeah, I know it's weird. She has the things on her head. I know. No, I know. We shouldn't call women hot. I know it's derogatory. I'm sorry. It's just like it spirals down, kind of like a toilet. Okay, so
Yes.
Scotty, let's talk about this. I think that you really are excited about Ahsoka live action.
Of course.
Do you have any concerns about this next chapter? Because I think the hype level, we're super excited to see Ahsoka and the series that Dave Filoni is writing, but I think we can acknowledge there are some limitations with telling her story in live action, right?
So two things. I've been thinking about it. Recently, it was announced that The Mandalorian has topped the streaming. I forget there's a scale or some sort of measurement of understanding of who watches this many things. And The Mandalorian actually peaked as the most watched thing, I believe, of this quarter of this part of the year, right? And it's beaten all of Netflix's stuff. Now, needless to say, The Mandalorian did that for Disney Plus, right? And there's other streaming services. HBO Max had a Wonder Woman, and The Mandalorian still beat that out. Okay, exclusive Wonder Woman, mind you. We also had Amazon Prime have their great stuff. It got beaten out by Mandalorian. And Netflix, this, Queen's Gambit was a huge thing. Got beaten out by Mandalorian. So all that being said, I will say Ahsoka's story is best told in animation because something David said prior to the show. He said you really can't pull off, or was it Arezou? I don't really remember. But okay, so some things in animation, some things in live action, you really can't pull off. David, what was the example you gave? Because you gave a great example that would look, I don't know, if they did it right, it would look great. But
so, like, if you think about like Clone Wars season 7, and you have that 4-episode arc where they're gonna go reclaim Mandalore and they're gonna capture Maul, right? Ahsoka jumps out of one Republic gunship and falls like 1,000 feet onto another Republic gunship.
yes.
And then she crash lands another Republic gunship, and then it blows up behind her. And I'm not sure if the acrobatic abilities of Ahsoka will be ultimately captured well in live action. Remember, when you saw Ahsoka in live action with The Mandalorian, there were edit tricks to pull off her force jumping. You saw her leave the screen, and then you saw her kind of like, and it was like, I can forgive it because I get it. Like, we're on a budget, but at the same time, this is not a budget of a film. You're still dealing with, as far as we know, about $10 million an episode. They're doing a hell of a lot with 10 million, but you're not going to be able to replicate. I mean, think about it. Ahsoka's doing freaking barrel rolls and lands into one and kicks her legs out and like all this stuff. Like, you're just not going to be able to do that. I guess maybe with a stuntable. I don't know. I think the budget has to get really big for that to happen. And maybe to your point, Scotty, The Mandalorian being outviewed than all these other properties across streaming. Maybe that's something for Favreau and Filoni to be like, hey, listen, like, we're doing really good things.
Sure.
Can we up the ante a little bit here and see just how far we can push this medium? And if that's the case, I am all for it because I do love what we got in Mandalorian. I do want to see what Dave Filoni can do with the scripts and do live action at Ahsoka. I think it's something that he has to be passionate about. It. He wouldn't agree to it if he wasn't. But kind of like wrapping this up, though, I do ultimately think that the character is best served with a live, with her ultimate end in animation. I just feel like that's where she began, and we've played with her in live action now. She's got the Ahsoka novel. We've seen her in comics, but closing it out in animation, I think allows her to be at like OP Ahsoka,
Yeah.
animation for sure.
But
Go ahead.
David, it's important to acknowledge, I don't think her story is going to close out like within the next 5 years or within the next 10 years. Honestly, like you've introduced a character now to a lot of people, and a lot of people are now going, wait, I've been sleeping on the animated show because they're animated, but I like that character they threw in there, right? So Ahsoka, to me, frankly, and I don't know anything, but I can be honest with marketing, Grogu's never going to go away. I mean, that's just never going to go away. Ahsoka could get to that point, right? Ahsoka could be the next character that'll be just an eternal character. You know, Han Solo's dead, but we're still getting stuff about him. We might even get a whole Solo series about him too, if we're lucky. So I don't know. The ending her story, it's going to be Dave Filoni style too. It's going to be really freaking vague, like everything with Dave. So that was my final little mantra for that one.
Go ahead, Arezou.
On Ahsoka, we could have like the way we could have our cake and eat it too, is if we get that Ezra Thrawn thing in animation, and the live action series is covering the space between the last time we see her on Rebels, like when Ezra pulls her out of the world between worlds, between that and her appearance on The Mandalorian. Because when she goes to pick up Sabine, this is years after. This is like after Endor,
right?
But the world between worlds thing is like before Yavin. So if we get that in live action, that sort of space, and then they can tell the Sabine whatever. So that way they're sort of setting up Ahsoka for people who maybe didn't watch the animated series, giving you more of a reason to care. And it's like, do you care yet? Do you care yet? Great. Here's this animated series. Now go watch it.
Yep.
I love that. I mean, I think that sounds pretty damn good to me. And I also think that when you're trying to tell that part of the story too, I mean, can you imagine them trying to do the Rebels series finale in live action? That would have been like damn near impossible with the station lifting out, and then you have the space whales blasting the hyperspace. Like
Ian McDermott, young and then old hologram, and then that was nuts. So I'm not gonna lie, that was crazy ending.
I think I'm always gonna like Clone Wars more, but Star Wars Rebels is so freaking good. Like it's so delightful, and if you haven't enjoyed it, please make some time during this pandemic and go binge watch Rebels. It's absolutely fantastic. We want to know what you think. And so like real quick, I'm going to go in here and just pull out some live chat. We got Marie Wilson sticking around with us in the live chat. She says, I definitely wanted the Sabine Ahsoka story to be animated. Canon Chunky says, either way, they want to finish it. I'm here for it.
I agree with that too.
Nick says, I was worried about live action view of Ahsoka, but I think live action is the way to go. So Nick's on team live action. The budget, though, he mentions that they have for live action can easily make a better story in his opinion. So I think that's interesting because my concern was there's not enough dollars, and he seems to think that the dollars are there. So we'll come on. I guess we'll find out together here. Okay, all right, fine. Luke says the name drop in Mandalorian of Thrawn. It's then down to the fans to look it up and get caught up. Ooh, how do you feel about this one, Arezou? Yeah, I didn't think you would. What's your take? What's your response?
No, that's first of all gatekeeping, because not everybody's going to look it up, and you can't assume that they will, and then they just won't watch it. That's how you lose an audience. That's also, as a storyteller, if you're like, well, this is somewhere else, go figure it out, but it's not a direct sequel. It's just something else in this world, and it's like, well, it was there, go find it. Then you're not doing your job. That's like as a writer, as a storyteller, that's like unprofessional to assume somebody's going to go do their homework. If it's important to your story now, you make sure the audience has the information they need.
Really interesting.
If you don't have 4 seasons, but you need to make sure they have that information. And because it's a lot of information, that's why I think it's time wasted to recap it in live action.
Fascinating. I think so. Okay. So here's the thing. Collider recently did an interview with Alan Tudyk, and he confirmed that he's not in conversation at all with Lucasfilm about being K2SO in the Andor series. And I was really wanting to see K2SO and Cassian's, meet story told in live action, but it's been told in the comic books. And so part of me feels like that moment could be recreated and be really successful on live action, but also to the point that that story has been told. But to Arezou's point, if it's important now, let's tell it now. and advance the story, because we can't make assumptions that everyone's going to read every comic and every book.
It's like Cobb Vamp in episode 9,
Yes.
in chapter 9, not episode 9. In chapter 9, it didn't tell his whole story. They didn't go into Freetown and him trying to make the world a better place and like whatever. It was just the beats of Cobb Vamp's story that you, the audience watching chapter 9, need to know right now.
Yep.
So it can
Yep,
be done, but it's just Ezra and Thrawn is a lot.
Right. And if you want more, then there's avenues for you to go find that out.
Then you can have more, but you need to tell the audience what they need to know.
Love everyone's take in the live chat. This is so fun. God, we should just do a show, honest to God, where we should give everyone 5 minutes to type in the live chat, and then we just that's the show. We just go in there. Nick's like, as a whole, Rebels better than Clone Wars, but late seasons of Clone Wars is supreme.
And then we get Bad Batch pretty soon. I'd imagine that's going to be wild. By the way,
and I don't. This was not me when they announced Bad Batch. I'm like, I don't care, but right now I'm so pumped.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
Can you imagine whenever that scene is in the trailer where it's like all the clones hanging out and you have Palpatine come up and be like, execute Order 66. Like, that's a terrible Palpatine. I'm really sorry. And I probably offended people, but you know what I mean? Like, that's going to be huge. Like, the big hologram, all these clones freaking the freak out. I would like some Republic commandos back. Like, I would like to see those clone troopers back. I think that'd be super fun. Oh my God. It's going to be so good. And I wonder how much before Order 66 we're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be really pivotal, because I mean, maybe you can go super far past that. I don't know. I think there's no rules with this. Yeah. I feel like with Rebels, you were a little confined. Resistance, to an extent, you were a little confined. Clone Wars, I mean, they did whatever they wanted. They did 105 episodes, but like, they can really do whatever the hell they want with these clones. And so Bad Batch, yeah, it's going up the list for me as what I anticipate, like my most anticipated Star Wars for the next year, 18 months. It's gonna be good. I mean, Book of Boba Fett, though, it's gonna be.
So the reason why I said Bad Batch real quick is because, the Rebel sequels series has not really been confirmed officially, but I mean, it's been officially confirmed that Bad Batch is a real thing. So I mean, if you're stuck on the Ahsoka thing, just maybe let it go for a second, then get a chance to really get hype about Bad Batch, because knowing Dave, and Dave's involved, he could get really weird with it. We don't know who saved Grogu. How would you feel if it was the Bad Batch guys? I'm just saying, that'd be wild. Runs back in there, and they're like, we gotta save the I don't know. This is an idea. Just an idea.
I like it. And Scotty, I'll always appreciate the enthusiasm too. Holy cow. We're just a couple minutes away from the top of the next hour. So glad that you're with us here on episode 104 of Beyond the Blast Doors. I really need to stop counting at this point. Let's go ahead, though, and we got a couple Twitter questions we got in during the show, and so I want to rattle these off real quick out of respect to those who did that. And by the way, you can always tweet us anytime at BTBD Star Wars. You throw a Star Wars question at us, we'll do our best to get it on the next show. This is something that we really want to do in 2021, our commitment to having the Star Wars conversation with you, and another way to help make you part of our show. So the first question we have this week is from J Boys Toys. Are the converters sold at Tashi Station for converting AC to DC or DC to AC? And Arezou, I'm going to start with you on this one real quick. What do you think?
DC to AC.
Okay. Scotty?
Ooh, I have a feeling it deals with like the bank of an ignition system for a starship. It converted energy from one ship's primary source to its propulsion units to achieve full thrust. Power converters had a power supply to it and a circuit inside a unit which regulated the current of electricity. So more or less, it's kind of like some sort of resistor that would kind of stop electricity when it wasn't necessary, not to overpower the engine. That's just my take. I didn't just look
reading something.
No, I've
that all off the top of your head?
Yeah, Arezou, come on now. God bless it. You know it is. I'm a Southern man. I learned my biblical phrases. I learned common Star Wars speak.
I think I can say the third one. I think you're full of shit, and I think you read that all off a damn Word document. But good answer. I was going to say AC to DC for those about to rock, because we salute you. Okay, cool. So the next question here, I cannot believe you, Scotty, you clown. This is from Semperfi Danny. Do you expect any Rebels crossovers in either Andor or Kenobi? If so, who would you like to see in live action? Scotty, we'll start with you. Do you think that there will be a crossover? And if there is, who's it going to be?
Chopper! No, I really do think Andor is going to have something wild. I mean, you got to realize Andor's 9 episodes or 12? What was it?
Well, is it 9 episodes? 12. Okay. Yep.
Okay. Regardless of how many it is, I mean, we know where they take place on Yavin 4 at some point, right? And I think it's going to be a really cool journey. I think we're going to get the Ghost. I think we might get Zeb and Hera. I don't think we'll get Kanan or anyone like that kind of level. Or if we do, I'd be amazed. That'd be sick. But I really do think Chopper was obviously in Rogue One, and we heard General Syndulla, I believe, over the intercom. So let's keep it down that path. Let's get some small rebel stuff in there. You know,
I can kind of roll with that. I can roll. I think the Chopper would be like the easiest thing to add in there.
Sure.
I'm trying to think though, if you could do like Vanessa Marshall showing up as Hera would be dope.
Be amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
What I think many people will get Hera.
Isn't Hera also? Didn't Vanessa do Hera in Rogue Squadrons?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Not Rogue Squadron. That's the movie.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. In Star Wars Squadron. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting myself.
Breaking news.
Yeah, really. You heard it first here on Beyond the Blast Doors Live Wednesday nights, YouTube. All right. Yeah, that sounded like a used car. Everything must go. Sell. All right. Do you have a crossover, or did I completely miss it, Arezou? Did you try?
No, that was just Hera was my thought.
Yeah, no, I think that's really solid, and I think that's a great take from you guys. I think that it's more realistic with Andor, not Kenobi. I think Kenobi really is, and we've said it before, that character study, PTSD, struggling on the sand dunes. Jar
Jar Binks.
Maybe that's possible. Anything's possible for Stoppable, right? So I think that Kim Possible deep dive. I think that sorry, I want to roll tonight. I'm boring everybody. I'm alone and I need a hug. I just see the most likelihood happening with Andor, and I really, now that you guys had said Hera, would love that. I don't know who because I don't think it's a crossover with Kenobi. I think it's through flashback. Like, I think you get a Duchess Satine in a flashback. You're getting an Anakin flashback. You're maybe getting Vader in person, but I don't view that as crossover. That's just me. Okay, the last one here, because we're running out of time here. So much fun with you guys. This is funny. Anubis, he goes, okay, everyone was in unison about Dooku knowing Palpatine was the Emperor last week on Beyond the Blast Doors Live. But what about Gran the Hoth Moff Tarkin? I don't know why I said that. I don't know. I'm slap happy. I'm gonna say that yes, because if you read Tarkin, which is right behind me, it really, I mean, I'm not joking. This is a top 5 Star Wars book for me. Can I bring
James Luceno, right?
James Luceno. I cry all the time about how the Darth Plagueis novel isn't canon, and Arezou tells me to shut up, and that's fine. But this is really a top 5 to me new Star Wars canon book. Check it out if you haven't already. And then he kind of dives into that, how he kind of thought that there was something up with Anakin and Palpatine for a while, and then he there's being his presence around Vader, he's able to deduce that it is Anakin, and he's able to pick up on the Emperor. You also get a little bit of this in the Thrawn novels. I believe there's a Grand Moff Tarkin exchange in there. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong. I know for damn sure Thrawn knows a hell of a lot about the Emperor and Vader. I'll tell you that much too. So
that's a good point.
I think that's a great question. Arezou, what do you think though? What am I missing?
I think he knows, because he suspects anyway that Anakin and Vader are the same person.
You had a great point though, Arezou. You're like, the name makes it pretty obvious.
The name makes it obviously, yes, Chancellor Palpatine and Emperor Palpatine are the same. So I feel like what Anubis meant is, does he know Palpatine is Sidious?
Yes.
That might have been what I think he probably does, because they're sort of the same. If he ever sees Darth Sidious, then it's pretty obvious that that's the same guy. And because he's kind of put 2 and 2 together about Anakin and Vader, just in the stuff they say and the interactions they have, like, that's how Tarkin's mind works. So I think he knows. He's probably just not saying anything to benefit him to say anything.
Well, I think this is so funny too, because we're talking about crossovers, and this was just given to us in the live chat. but Silos is a buddy of mine from the comic book community on YouTube, and he's just shouting in the live chat that General Grievous doesn't get enough shine, and we need to go in depth. And something about Jackson Rabbit. Oh, I guess he wants Jackson too. Okay, that's fine too. I do not want a General Grievous Jackson story, but yeah, to go more in depth than General Grievous would be an absolute blast. I'm sweaty, Scotty. We've talked about, we've broken down the fact that by name alone, Tarkin should be able to deduce who is the Emperor.
Yeah, and in Rebels he's always on it. So
well, wait, explore that. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Oh, in Rebel, the first season of Rebels, he was always one step ahead of the Ghost crew, right? Which is really kind of awesome. And he's the one that kind of sends Vader to go after him, right? So here I am sitting here thinking about this question. And one of the coolest things in Clone Wars, and they talk about it, the episode that they break Tarkin out of the Citadel. Is that the name of the episode? The Citadel? Or is it the location? Yeah. And then he's like, I really like what whatever his name was, Tarkin stands for. And I'm like, ooh, it's so cool how they thread that stuff, how Dave and George did that. Because, it gives us so much more payoff later. You understand why Vader has to answer to Tarkin. So maybe that's what he's holding over his head. Maybe he's like, I'll expose you, if you don't, follow me properly, as you should, I'm your higher up. So definitely, I'd imagine Tarkin was in on the whole thing, and if he didn't, he totally deduced the fact that he was, like Thrawn kind of did in the sequel book that Zahn had done. So,
fam, I
think
I had a lot of fun, and I think that we absolutely answered that last question extremely well, and I think that makes up for how sarcastic we were about the first two. So, I think that's right. I think we should leave everybody by just acknowledging that this hot toy dropped very recently. Hot Toys is part of Sideshow. This is the Shore Trooper. This bad boy is $230. Pre-order is now available at sideshow.com. So for $230, you can get this figure, which has 30 points of articulation. That means something to some people. And there are a lot of hands. I don't like this. There are 6 pieces of interchangeable glove hands, okay? I don't like how there's one pair of fists. I just don't like how that's listed. It bothers me. It makes me uncomfortable because it's one pair of fists and then it's one pair of relaxed hands. What?
Good writing. I like that.
There should only be one type of hand, and it should be hand on the trigger. Okay, these figures, in all seriousness, look like Scotty said this before, an actor on screen. The detail here is so fantastic. Arezou, would you spend $230 on this figure or a different type of figure, like a different character, like an Obi-Wan Kenobi hot toy? Would you spend $230 to have that?
No, not on one figure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got to keep that $230 to buy my terribly large array of Funko Pops.
Well, you do have a problem. And I will say this, we're not all Josh and Andy from Holo Chronicles, who you can always watch on Monday nights here on Beyond the Blast Doors YouTube channel. They just buy, Sideshow The Child, and they just did this huge, ridiculous unboxing where they had the child. And what was the other thing that they had that was ridiculous?
The vintage Falcon set.
Oh my God. Yeah. Dude, it's ridiculous. They have a lot of fun on Monday nights, so you should check that out. What's up, Scotty? What do you want to say?
My one thing about this, it's interesting. The Shore Trooper kind of took a back burner after Rogue One. We didn't see much from that legion of troopers. But wait, Mando comes out, and we get a different version of him, really, kind of, So I don't know if they're playing off that success. Maybe in casting we'll see something. They make these new trooper designs, and my students tell me, why is there always a new one every movie? And they don't realize it's for marketing. But you look at this, and you're like, that's a great design. It looks original trilogy. And anyone that's a big fan of Rogue One, for some people, Rogue One's number one on some people's list. Not for me, but for some people, they think Rogue One is the end-all, be-all of new Star Wars. So I'm sure they have some sort of love for this design and look. I know I do. I think it's a great design. So, and I believe it's one of the ones that George Lucas walked by and was like, I like that. Whenever he was Garrett,
I like that. Bennett. Okay, for me, it's Snow Trooper, Death Trooper, Shore Trooper. The 3 cool.
Okay.
That's my 3. Arezou, are you shaking your head at me?
I just nodded. I'm like, okay.
Oh, okay.
And then I was trying to think if I had a Stormtrooper preference, and I don't.
Me too. I just did that through my head. I think Scout Trooper's number one for me. Then Dark Trooper, new Dark Trooper, and then yeah, I don't know what my third one would be. Probably
I don't like Sith Troopers, but I do like Captain Cardinal.
Oh, Captain Cardinal's dope.
See, that's interesting because I could not care less about Cardinal, but I don't know. The Sith Troopers they were weird to me, man. It looked like they were like made out of a 3D printer. I don't know. The whole thing just didn't work for me. But I'm happy that you're happy. Like, it makes me so happy that you're happy. Maybe I need to read Phasma again.
I don't care. Captain Cardinal's got the same like aesthetic because it's the all red Stormtrooper armor. I like Captain Cardinal, but
I need to go back and read Phasma. I need to do that. Hey, you know what? This has been a great hour and a little change of Star Wars. Really appreciate everyone being here. Scotty, before we let people go, where's the best place for people to find you so that way they can harass you about your preferences about Gungans?
Tomorrow night's Bombadcast, okay? So please join tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We've got Tori Fox, the Mandatorian, as you've seen on Twitter, at Creature Cartel is our Etsy shop. We have her on to talk about everything prequel fun, and the episode's called The Jar Jar Generation. So look forward to that tomorrow. I know I'm very excited for the conversation. It'll be live as well. But yeah, you can find us there tomorrow night. Jerry and I are stoked. It's going to be a great, great show.
Looking really forward to it, and really excited to listen to the conversation. First live show you guys did was last week. I thought you guys killed it. Really excited about tomorrow night.
Fortune Cookies of the Force, baby.
Arezou, my friend, people want to continue to start this conversation. Where's the best place for them to go?
You can find me. Best place to go is Twitter. I'm at Arezou Amin. Yeah, you can just find me there. I'm definitely posting my opinions several times a day. And disclaimer, my opinion is the right one. So if you come into my mentions, just know that if you disagree with me, then you're objectively incorrect.
I read an episode. She's kind of joking, but she's kind of not joking. I read a stat today that Donald Trump tweeted 34.7 times a day in the last 6 months of his presidency. And I would say that Arezou damn near gives him a run for his money. So, and I would say now that
sentences, I spell things correctly, and there's no hate speech.
There's no misogyny.
No misogyny, no racism, no homophobia. Just me and my opinion.
Just a lot of Rise of Skywalker trash talk. That's all.
Dude, you shit on Rise of Skywalker so hard. Oh my god!
I swear, Scotty. Anytime I want to say something salty, like you and Jerry just appear in front of my eyes, I'm like, would this hurt their feelings? And then I don't post it.
I love you, Arezou.
You and Pete Fletzer get on this like high horse about the Rise of Skywalker letting you down, and it's like, wow, this is like.
It didn't just let me down. Like after we all had that conversation, I swear to you, I cried for 2 days.
No!
2 days about Rey's character arc. I'm not even joking.
It's not really an arc. It's more like a straight line. Okay.
This has been a big.
It's a slow descent into hell.
No, we had a big text that got really heated, and it ended up with me cursing out Jerry because the special editions are garbage. But we'll talk about that another day.
Oh my god! Oh, so I got it.
I'm getting hot.
Man, I got something. I haven't shown this off yet.
Oh, wait. Here we go.
Find them. Or oh no, this is such bad programming.
Well, look, I'll tell you this much. This is to fill up some air right now.
Fill it up.
Special editions are the worst iteration of the original trilogy. I want to see just Jerry go off with the comments. Jabba's inclusion of A New Hope, and we've had Hello Greedo on, who's like a huge proponent and speaker on this stuff. But he's even said that ruined the mystery of all of it.
Scotty, you got me those VHSs, and I don't know where I put them.
I did. Davidson VHSs.
I have like the original, like the blue, purple, and green cover. They're freaking badass.
I got mine at arm's length at all times. I'm a teacher. I use it as an example. Look,
oh my god, they're so pretty. They're so pretty. Okay.
Version.
Now I don't want to end this moment because I had so much fun. I have so much fun every week. I don't want to end these shows.
Oops, we just go take the garbage out again.
Oh my gosh, you're so rude. On a real quick note, want to say thanks to everyone who reached out of the week. I was out of town last week. That's why we didn't have a show. Spending some time with the family, and I unplugged for 5 days. I didn't get on Twitter, and I came back, to a lot of kindness. And so if you reach out, really appreciate you. And I know it's it just reminds me of why it's so worth getting together to talk Star Wars casually, on Wednesday night, is because we got some really good people that we hang out with. So we fly casual here on Beyond the Blast Doors Live, not too casually, like they can tell we're flying casual, but we're flying casually. So thank you for reaching out. It really went really a long way. So thank you for that. We're gonna wrap this thing up because like a condom, because we're like going late. This is like 20 minutes late, and Scotty's tired. Arezou is furious with me. No, she's not. She's great.
Not furious. Not furious.
I'm surprised I don't have a text yet from someone being like, David, what the hell are you talking about? You're talking about Ahsoka Tano at the urinal? I don't think that makes me a bad person. It was funny. Like, it was a great moment, and now it's over. It's Beyond the Blast Doors Live. We'll see you next week. May the force be with you. Scotty, stop stroking it.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Blast Doors. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars conversation.